Let's go back to our top story now. ANC and Mpumalanga's leadership has been decided upon. Let's get a political reaction to this. We are joined by political analyst Levy and Ndou. Thank you so much for your time, Levy. We do appreciate it. I think it was quite expected in terms of the announcement of the provincial chairperson of Mpumalanga being Mandla Ndlovu. What is your sense with regards to the newly elected PEC in Mpumalanga?
Good afternoon to you, Agi. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. Quite expected. I think Mandla Ndlovu has been doing a huge work for the ANC in the province at an interim level. And also at the same time, that created a moment for him to be able to cement authority, to have a clear relationship with the branches and the structures aligned to the ANC in the province. And in the build-up towards this conference, it had actually become very clear that he was having sufficient support, especially from the bigger regions in Mpumalanga. You talk about Nkangala, you talk about Nkomazi, you talk about Nhlazi. And those are the regions that are well-oiled in terms of their unity and in terms of their support for Mandla Ndlovu. And I think this is the chapter that the ANC in Mpumalanga has closed, and all they need to do now is to focus on delivering the services to the people of Mpumalanga province.
Before we get into the issues of service delivery and how the ANC actually lost 3 key municipalities in the recent local government elections, I want us to speak about the importance of this conference actually taking place. We know the PEC has now been elected. However, there were many hurdles before this conference could actually take place. And looking at this in from a bigger picture and in a broader scheme, this is going to be significant to make sure that there's stability within the provinces for the ANC come the elective conference at the end of the year.
This conference is quite significant in many ways. One, in the sense that the ANC in Mpumalanga could not hold a conference for some time, and the leadership there has been there on an interim basis. At the same time, the ANC in Mpumalanga had to live to its known trend, the trend of being a province that is united, a province that is able to take directives from the leadership. And even though there has been instances of instability due to lack of leadership in Mpumalanga, this leadership must then be able to bring all the members of the ANC together so that the ANC in Mpumalanga is one and strong. It is also significant, this conference, towards the build-up of the national conference, because indeed, when you look at the dynamics and the trends towards the national conference, you could see that with the election of Mandla Ndlovu, you will then be able to have one coherent message that is coming from the ANC in Mpumalanga, which might then be able to be processed to have one singular voice as they move towards the national elective conference. It might not be a very easy road, because some would assume that the election of Mandla Ndlovu would bring in the automatic support to the current president. It will still require a lot of work that has to be done by the Mpumalanga province and other provinces that still have to go to their national, to their provincial conferences. But this, for me, is a plus for President Ramaphosa's bid for re-election in the ANC conference.
I want us to quickly speak about the fact that Mandla Ndlovu has also been appointed to be part of the provincial elective conference, and we do know that he removed himself, or if I'm not mistaken, he was actually dismissed as the MEC and other positions because of the murder charges that he's currently facing. And people looking at this dynamic within the ANC, does this instill confidence to say those that have been accused or even convicted are still holding positions within the ANC?
I think the biggest question we need to ask ourselves is that why is it very difficult for members of the ANC who are tainted to want to hold on to the positions of power within the ANC? And I think some of them do that because they want to be protected, or they assume that when they've got positions of responsibility in the ANC, they are actually going to be protected by the law in terms of wrongdoing. But the continuous re-election or the continuous election of those that are tainted in the positions of responsibility within the ANC does taint the name of the ANC in a very, very big way. And I think these are the areas that when the ANC is talking about renewal, should actually be able to deal with and decisively deal with those within their ranks who are tainted, because it does not give the ANC a very, very good picture.
Levy, I'm going to ask you to just stay with us. I'm going to bring in our senior reporter, Mandla Ndlovu. Sipa, many would say that it was expected for Mandla Ndlovu to be elected as the provincial chairperson of the ANC in Mpumalanga. I'm sure there's a lot of happiness right now with the newly elected provincial executive committee.
Indeed. Well, it's jubilation. It was to be expected. Either way, either Mandla Ndlovu or Ndou, one of them was going to emerge, and it has to be, or it had to be Mandla Ndlovu who was elected provincial chairperson of the ANC in Mpumalanga. He's been acting in the position for a number of years now, and he was at some point touted as a close political ally of the current deputy president of the ANC, David Mabuza. But political dynamics in the province have shifted. Those who are familiar with those dynamics in the province say he is now a staunch supporter and ally of President Cyril Ramaphosa. A few weeks ago, when we were in Nelspruit, when President Ramaphosa of the ANC visited and addressed ANC structures, Mandla Ndlovu took to the podium welcoming the president and said, if and when the time comes for branches to nominate you to avail yourself for a second term, do not say no, Mr. President. Please consider that request from the branches, basically giving an indication that come December elective conference of the ANC, Mandla Ndlovu is willing to support ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa. Ndou has been with the politics of Mpumalanga for a number of years now. He is the former provincial secretary, he was the former councillor, the current speaker of one of the district municipalities. He knows this province in and out. He is said to be a close ally of the deputy president of the ANC, David Mabuza. The question now is, what does this outcome mean for both Cyril Ramaphosa and David Mabuza? There are those who will give a quick analysis and say, well, it's a setback and a blow for David Mabuza because those who support him appear not to have won this conference, and those who support Cyril Ramaphosa have won this conference. But let me bring it to you and our viewers' attention that interestingly, you have Ndou in that top 5 of the ANC here. Ndou is the deputy provincial secretary. She's been elected the deputy provincial secretary. She is a known ally of Ace Magashule. Those who are familiar with the politics in the province say she belongs to the RET forces. You have Mandla Ndlovu, who is said to be very close to Cyril Ramaphosa. You have Ndou, who is said to be close to Ace Magashule and the RET forces. That tells you that politics is something else. You cannot confirm it, because in terms of how this leadership is composed, it's interesting, because there are also those who say do not write Didi Mabuza out of this. This outcome may be construed as a setback for him, but it's not necessarily the case, because he can still work the crowd. It will be interesting now as to how the composition of the Provincial Executive Committee Committee we will be moving to the nomination and election of the extended Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC, the powerful provincial structure, as well as, that will be running the affairs of the province. Also, that will give an indication in terms of the balance of forces and power dynamics in the province. Let me talk about the issue of Mandla Msibi here. That issue is very much interesting because he is a murder accused person. Of course, he has denied all the allegations that have been leveled against him. He's been elected provincial treasurer of the ANC in Mpumalanga. He was not here. Even yesterday, he accepted his nomination through a letter. When his name was announced, he met the threshold. He was nominated, and his lobbyists sent through a letter confirming that he accepts the nomination. And today he was not here for the announcement of the results because he can't participate on the process of the ANC, as he has already stepped aside because he is charged. But interestingly, when Ramakoba, who is the convener of ANC NEC deployees to Mpumalanga, explaining the dilemma and the dynamics. However, let me tell you that it's not something new for the ANC structures to elect a person who is charged. In KwaZulu-Natal, Newcastle, Emalahleni region, the current chairperson there, Dr. Ndou Mahlaba, is also charged. He was elected in absentia as the chairperson of the region. So this is not the first case. Already there is a serving regional chairperson of the ANC in Emalahleni region in KwaZulu-Natal who was elected, being charged, but immediately he had to step aside because he cannot continue with the responsibilities of the party. It will be interesting to see how Mandla Msibi participates moving forward, but it will be a difficult one because at some point the Provincial Executive Committee, together with the PWC as well as the Provincial Secretary, will have to come up with a plan of how they are going to ensure that the office of the Provincial Treasurer functions properly. I think I hear that they will take a short break now. Let me try and get this gentleman here. I think this is Mr. Ndinisa here. Mr. Ndinisa was contesting the position of the provincial chairperson. I see he's on the phone and he doesn't want to talk to us. I will try, yes. I will try to get my colleague to say. I see Mr. Ndinisa. How are you, my brother?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
It didn't go well for you. How are you feeling?
Well, we must celebrate the internal democracy of the African National Congress. As members of the African National Congress, right from the inception of the ANC, we have always been saying that the ANC is a democratic organization, and as individual members of the ANC, we will have to make sure that we participate in every development of the organization, including having the right to elect and be elected. As far as this process is concerned, we want to congratulate the newly elected leadership, the branches of the African National Congress in Mpumalanga. They've chose those that we competed with them, and all of us will have to rally behind this newly elected leadership. We believe in them, we have worked with them, we know what they are capable of. And as part of membership of the African National Congress, we will rally behind them. We will make sure that we dismantle all the lobby groups that we have so that we are being led by one leadership. And once more, want to congratulate Comrade Mandla Ndlovu for being elected as the provincial chairperson of the ANC. Thank you.
Political analysts will say this is a blow to Deputy President David Mabuza. You are regarded as his political ally. How do you read the outcome of this conference? Are you an ally of David Mabuza?
Well, the Deputy President of the ANC comes from the province of Mpumalanga, and myself, I have the privilege of working with him. I was the provincial secretary for 2 terms, who was the provincial chair. As far as national conference is concerned, the president of the African National Congress has continuously and consistently called order on us to talk about the forthcoming national conference. He said that we'll have to start talking about those matters when it comes to the month of August. So that is where we are. Whatever that you want to insinuate about the outcomes here, I don't think that it will be correct. So we are here in the provincial conference of the ANC, and it has got nothing to do with the forthcoming national conference of the ANC. And once again, we want to congratulate Comrade Mandla Ndlovu.
Thank you very much for your time, Baba. That is Ndou, who was contesting the position of the provincial chairperson. He lost to Mandla Ndlovu. I'll ask my colleague Leopo just to come with me as we'll try and show you what is happening inside here. I think on the podium I see there is the elections agency there that is responsible for ensuring that the issue of voting, nomination and voting is conducted in a manner that is very peaceful. So that is what is currently happening here at the provincial conference in Mpumalanga.
In here, Levy, maybe we can just speak about some of the issues that Sipa Mandla did touch on with regards to the powers that be within the ANC, especially in the Mpumalanga province, and the dynamics at play there, where you have certain people that have allies with certain individuals within the ANC. For example, Ndou and Chali. I do see Sipa Mandla has somebody with him. Let's go back to him.
Newly elected chairperson of the ANC in Mpumalanga, how do you feel? It was a difficult and a tough one.
It was not difficult. It was just a normal processes of the ANC. It will never ever be difficult. So it was not difficult and it will never ever be difficult.
Moving forward, your task now is to unite the ANC in Mpumalanga. How are you going to go about to ensure that those who did not support your leadership collective and the leadership perspective that you finally emerged work with you for the unity purposes in Mpumalanga?
You are hijacking me.
Just very briefly, please.
But we know that when we prepare for the conferences, always we'll have lobbying teams. So we'll have lobbying teams, but tomorrow, when I address official, when I give closing remarks, officially I'm going to disband all the lobbying teams in the province and will request all our delegates, all structures of the ANC, including those that they contested. We will accept the outcome of the conference and support one another and support the leadership.
Do you still think that Cyril Ramaphosa must get a second term as the president of the ANC in December?
People are misquoting me. What I said in that meeting is that if there is a call, you must have to accept. That's what I said yesterday, that if there is a call from branches, you can't say no. As a disciplined cadre of the African National Congress. So if there is that call for any member of the ANC to accept a nomination, we request that all our members accept, including the president.
Finally, the ANC in Mpumalanga is moving away. For years, since 2015, there's been no duly elected leadership structure since the departure of David Mabuza. Many people have placed you as a political ally of Cyril Ramaphosa. What is your view in this conference and the outcome which will bring peace and stability in Mpumalanga that has been plagued by disunity and divisions for a very long time now?
Always, we know the ANC better than all of you. We're always getting this information, sometimes from the media and the enemy of the ANC, that we are divided, that there are factions in this province. I have been addressing in so many meetings of the ANC and general meetings.
Some of them were very violent and people were attacked there. That talks to the issue of violence and factions.
Where I know of only one branch, and we dealt with that matter. 32 incomers. That is what we know. But people are just generalizing that in Mpumalanga there is violence. I don't understand and I don't agree. We have got our own challenges as ANC, like any other province of the ANC. And we are capable of dealing with all our problems in the province.
You will have to operate without your provincial treasurer, Mandla Ndlovu, who has had to step aside. He was elected, he's not here. How are you going to maneuver around that one without having a provincial treasurer who's active because he's facing murder charges?
It is better now that I will be working with four. For the past 4 to 5 years, I was working with only 3 in the leadership of the ANC in the province. We are going to work, we always work collectively. We will always support one another, complement one another, so there will be no problem. We are going to work and make sure that we raise funds for the ANC, we make sure that as a team we rebuild the ANC, we revitalize the ANC, in the province.
But thank you very much for your time. Let's release you. They are waiting for you. Before I do that, promise me live on air that we'll have a proper interview tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah, it's obvious.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That is Mandla Ndlovu, the newly elected chairperson of the ANC in Mpumalanga province. I'll have to take it back to you in studio with our guests there for now.
Thank you so much for that, Mandla, and I trust you to get the right people to speak to us. That's our senior reporter, Mandla Ndlovu, out in Emalahleni in Mpumalanga, speaking to the newly elected provincial chair. I want to bring in Sizwe SamaYende, who is a journalist in Mpumalanga and has been covering the politics of the province for some time now. I'm not sure if you got a chance to hear what Mandla was saying, but it was something I was also going to ask political analyst Levy and Ndou regarding the politics in the province and how at the end of the day all these factions end up hurting the ordinary people on the ground. And this is exactly what we saw in the recent local government elections, with the ANC losing 3 municipalities in that province. What is your sense with the newly elected Provincial Executive Committee? Do you think they're going to bring about the necessary change and confidence and trust that is needed?
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon to the viewers of ENCA. Yeah, well, you know, this new leadership is still going to face a lot of problems. The divisions, that should be the main thing, because as we have seen with the local government elections, how divided they have been. They have lost 3 municipalities, as you said. It's because of the divisions that are there. They've been taking each other to court. So the ANC, with this new leadership, it's still divided. I think the main issue they will have to tackle is the divisions that they are having.
Certainly. Maybe we can bring you back in here, Levy. I do know that many would say, because this conference has now eventually taken place and a PC has been elected, the problems still remain within the ANC. And you have what Mandla was referring to, where you have, for example, the Deputy Secretary, Ndou, who is referred to as being closely connected or associated with suspended SG of the ANC, Ace Magashule. How critical is it for these power dynamics to be cleared out to make sure that people continue to trust the ANC, especially in Mpumalanga, which we know there are huge service delivery issues and even corruption?
Well, I think I could classify this based on the number of eras. There was an era where there was an elected leadership in the province of Mpumalanga. And there was an era where there was no elected leadership in Mpumalanga. And that era where there was no elected leadership, there was a vacuum which was very clear. And obviously, because most individuals in the province would also want to have access to political power, and they will do so by trying to influence the different regions where they are found. And that will create a number of contestations. Hence, one would say they've moved away from contestations to factionalism. But in the spirit that I've actually observed from the elected leader and those that have been defeated is that they are going to ensure that as the province, they come together and have one united province. The Mpumalanga has a history of being united when there is a leadership elected. And at the time when there was no leadership, we saw these divisions and the issues that Mandla Ndlovu was actually talking about. But the possibility still exists that even though they say that the lobby teams might be disbanded, some people might still feel aggrieved and they still want to exist as a smaller group within the province. And that is the challenge, in my view, that the current leadership has to deal with, that to ensure that they are united as a provincial leadership and equally they unite the entire province. Differences will always emerge in terms of policy issues, in terms of how certain things are supposed to be done. But it will be upon this provincial leadership to ensure that they have a strong leadership that must unite the ANC in the province.
Certainly. Let's head over back to Mandla Ndlovu. I do understand he's standing by with Pule Mabe.
Well, indeed, I'm trying to locate Pulemabe. He was here, but he has disappeared. Nonetheless, I've spotted this NEC member. He doesn't want to talk to us. We'll force him to talk to us. You are an NEC member from Mpumalanga. What does this mean for your province that has been without duly elected leadership for a very long time? Your name is Ronald Lamula, by the way.
Yeah, no, really checking me. It's a platform of the convener of deployees of Mpumalanga to deal with these matters. But now that you have hijacked me, it's a great day that there is finally a leadership in this province, and I think they will be able to take the province forward. Thank
you very much for your time. Well, it doesn't want to hide. Let me try and get more people as they are living here. There are too many NEC members that are deployed here in Mpumalanga for this. This is the deputy chairperson of the ANC, Speedy Mashilo. How are you, Speedy? How are you feeling? Finally, there is a duly elected leadership here, but you need to unify and unite Mpumalanga province. It's been deeply divided for a very long time.
Well, I must take this opportunity and thank the delegates for having confidence in me. It's been quite long, this conference not run. We have waited for so long. Obviously, I'm aware of the work, the responsibility that are bestowed on myself as an individual and to the collective that we have been elected to unite the province. And indeed, that's what we're going to do. We're going to hit the ground running, try to pull everybody together, do away with the factions, the lobby groups, so that we become the ANC of Mpumalanga. That must lead the province of Mpumalanga on an equal base. Branches that are not happy, we attend, we listen to them. We make sure as well that the discipline is the thing that all of us must appreciate.
It's going to be a bumpy ride moving forward, but the people of Mpumalanga elected the ANC in the province to lead them. Issues of service delivery, your executive in the ANC will need to talk to your deployees in government to sort out the mess in the province.
Well, very correct. Yeah, that we cannot deny it. That's what we'll do. We'll have to strengthen the LNG, which is our subcommittee on governance, get all our mayors together, our councillors, so that we strengthen the ward committees, we engage Amakosi, because indeed we are a rural province, we do have traditional leaders, meet even other strategic business people. We do have progressive white community in our area that they need to be spoken to. Since we are the leader of the society, we speak to them, so they must feel comfort and they must play the role in developing the province.
I can't leave you without asking you how difficult it's going to be to work without your provincial treasurer, who has had to step aside because of the legal challenges that he's facing.
Well, indeed, it will be, however, navigate in terms of giving each one responsibility, so that at the end of the day, the organizations run. We are setting, we'll have almost 34 members of the PEC. We'll assign some of them to make sure that the functions of the treasurer goes forward.
Thank you very much for your time. Let's release you. That is Speedy Mashilo, the deputy provincial chairperson of the ANC in Mpumalanga. I'm looking around for more leaders here. I'm trying to check if we'll get Ndou Nchali. Let's just take a walk inside. Sorry, Mbafwetu. We are just taking a walk here inside, trying to see if we'll be able to get a comment from Ndou Nchali. There are other more ANC here in so we will try and see. These are NEC members. Provincial Secretary, how are you? You are live on ANC. Thank you very much. You have to unite the province now that you've been elected together with your deputy here, Ndou Nchali. Please stand together. How are you going to unite the province moving forward?
It's very easy. We must follow the programs of the ANC on renewal and building the organization, building on the footsteps that have already been built by the leadership that were the preceding leadership. Yeah.
There are disgruntled members, unhappy members. You will have to bring them on board and work with them. Some of them took the organization to court trying to interdict this conference.
The leadership elected is the leader for all members of the ANC and the leadership of the society. So everyone is going to be led, and everyone is going to be afforded an opportunity to raise his or her concern, and these concerns be addressed organizationally. Nothing is going to be addressed outside the policies and the constitution of the ANC. That's how we're going to be working. In an instance where members decide to be disruptive, ill-disciplined, our rule in terms of Rule 25 is getting affected. But we are hoping and optimistic that they really we are turning a corner as Mpumalanga province after this conference.
You need to find a replacement for your provincial treasurer who's facing legal challenges. He's not here. You need the money to run the province. How are you going to deal with that, Lindy Wenchalinchali? The elephant in the room, Mandla Ndlovu, elected, facing murder charges. He's innocent until proven otherwise by a court of law. But surely some people will raise concerns about electing someone who's facing those legal challenges. It has happened in the past in KwaZulu-Natal. It's not new, but it brings a very difficult situation for you in the province.
I think the members of the National Executive Committee, who are conveners and deployees in our province, have handled the matter very well, because we must be within our constitution, our own step-aside guidelines to say conference. Rule 17.1, conference is the highest decision-making body in between. So this comrade was allowed to be nominated, and acceptance was accepted by conference. Therefore, we went to vote as conference, and the pronouncement there that he has won, but he will be advised to step aside. And then we're taking the matter up with the upper structures, and then we'll be advised on going forward.
I need to release you to go and caucus. Thank you very much for your time. As we proceed here, I've spotted some NEC members here. I see Mamoloko Kubai here. I see Nomvula Mokonyane, head of organizing. On ENCA, the conference is tired. You've been working hard. Okay, for now. We are on lunch break. You look tired. You've been working hard. How does it feel that now Mpumalanga is an elected leadership?
There's still work to be done. We only elected the officials, so there's no elected leadership yet. It's an incomplete process. We've adjourned. What has been good is that our contributions of rebuilding the ANC can actually be seen with the processes that have unfolded, championed by the interim provincial committee, the NEC deployees of Mpumalanga, the team that came from Lutuli, ourselves, using all processes that are now being piloted in this province, are going to be piloted in eThekwini, in the Eastern Cape, as part of the build-up towards a smooth accreditation and registration system for the national conference.
But it wasn't that smooth here in Mpumalanga. There were some few glitches, but it did work. Are you hopeful that moving forward it will work?
When we started in the Northern Cape, there were more challenges. We overcame them. When we were dealing with the regional conferences, there were challenges, we dealt with them. When we came here, of course, this is a provincial conference. People have interests and very vibrant delegates and branch representatives. And the good thing is that everybody endorsed. There was no voting on credentials. So that, for me, is a premise to say it went well.
I know your fellow NEC members, Dr. Gwen Ramakopa and Natim Tetwa, dealt with the issue of Mandla Ndlovu, but it is a concern for many people in Mpumalanga and within the ANC to elect someone facing murder charges. He is innocent until proven otherwise by a court of law. It has happened in KwaZulu-Natal that a charged person was elected. But moving forward, how are you anticipating dealing with that one?
Well, I think it was dealt with accordingly, to say yes, he had stepped aside. And he was not forced to step aside. And as it has been indicated, he came, he accepted the nomination. He sent them a notice accepting the nomination. And in line with that rule of the African National Congress, we do believe that Comrade Mandla will do the right thing.
Some people are threatening to go to court in future and have this conference declared null and void, invalid. Are you worried about those prospects? The case was dismissed yesterday with cause, but those who took you to court say it's not over.
We have records. The good thing now with the ANC is that we have records of every process. Before even a branch general meeting, we've got records of the pre-branch general meetings. We've got the reports about the BBGMs. We've got the reports about the selection of candidates. We've got a system that produces credentials. They are not actually done by anyone. They come out of a process, and the outcome and the elections have also happened in line with the rules of conference and the constitution of the ANC.
Only one female leader in the top 5 leadership, Lindy Wenchalinchali. I know the composition of the PEC is not done and dusted yet, but surely that must concern you about women representation in the top leadership.
We can do more, and I think we could have done better. But as a starting point, we do have a woman, Moving forward, it's something that we need to canvass, both as women and activists, in ensuring that this matter does receive an attention that will not just create space for women, but have women who are ready to contest.
Thank you very much for your time. That is Nomvula Munkonyane, NEC member and head of organizing the ANC. We'll have to take and get machine from Alliance as well, including EP in Mpumalanga.
So much for that comprehensive update, Mandla Ndlovu out in Mpumalanga. I'm going to finish off this conversation, and I thank you, Levy and Sizwe, for standing by with us. Levy, just last few words. I'm sure you heard all that was said with the members that Mandla interviewed, and it seems as though they are confident that they will be able to sort out their issues and their factions now that officially there is a PEC in Mpumalanga. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think for me, they need to put the past where it belongs. And the leadership of the province now knows the challenges that are there in the province. And at the same time, they also know that they are not only the leaders of the ANC, they are the leaders of society. And ordinary members of society in the Mpumalanga province want to see services provided to them through the ANC, and they don't want to see or hear disputes happening within the ANC, but only peace, which they actually deserve as citizens of the province.
Sizwe, maybe we can end off with you. I know that you have been covering Mpumalanga for a very long time. You know all the doings in that province. You know about the factions. And I think one question that stands out for many is whether or not what has happened today at this ANC provincial conference is going to send the message across to say they want to provide the necessary services to the people of Mpumalanga, because we do know that there are many problems there. I myself actually was born in Mpumalanga, and the problems that were years ago still remain, and I think that's a massive problem that the ANC in that province needs to understand.
Yeah, they definitely need to hit the ground running in terms of ensuring that there's service delivery on the ground. So the most important thing I think that they should do is that they sort of unite and ensure that their deployees in government, whether in municipalities or in the provincial government, are not, all the time fighting factional battles, but they are able to focus on their jobs.
Last words with regards to, there was a question that Mandla actually raised with what this is actually going to mean for the elective conference at the end of the year, because we do know that there are factions. We do know that the deputy president and the deputy president of the ANC, David Mabuza, held that province down, and we do know that there have been many issues since he has left. What do you think this is all going to mean in the broader scheme of things when it comes to the elective conference at the end of the year?
Yeah, it basically means it's a boost for President Cyril Ramaphosa. Mandla Ndlovu has come out before this conference in support for him. But for David Mabuza as a deputy president, if it's going to stand, I'm really not sure he's going to get the support. You must remember that the faction that has lost is the faction that has been loyal to David Mabuza. It's that faction that has been supporting him all along. And Mandla Ndlovu and the rest of the top five, they used to be part of that faction, but they broke away. So it's going to be a big challenge for the deputy president to get the province of Mpumalanga to rally behind him in the national conference.
I know I said that was my last question, but I have one more question for you. Sizwe, do you think with this newly elected PEC, it's going to instill the necessary confidence that is needed, given that this conference took years to take off and many are questioning the leadership within Mpumalanga? Do you think this is the right kind of leadership that we need in Mpumalanga from the ANC?
Yeah, it's a historical moment, because since 2008, David Mabuza's hand has been really big He has been playing a role. Actually, he has been prominent in the politics of the province since 2008 when he was first elected chairperson of the province. So now this is a breath of fresh air. This is what people have been calling for. They've been looking for new leadership that is not so much attached to Titi Mabuza. It's a new chapter from Mpumalanga, and this conference, the last time a conference was contested in Mpumalanga was in 2008. So since then, this is the first time that a conference is contested in Mpumalanga. So this has got much to say about the internal democratic processes as well of the ANC in this province. Because all these years people have been crying about gatekeeping, being excluded from party activities and all of those things. I think it's a new change for the province.
Certainly. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you to all my panelists, Sizwe SamaYende, who's a journalist in Mpumalanga, as well as our senior reporter, Mandla Ndlovu, who's at the provincial conference in Emalaheni, as well as political analyst Levy and Ndou.